Good evening, Race Spec fans, and welcome back to our Euro Series Tuesday specials. It's time to go racing once again. We are heading out there to the Portuguese Grand Prix at the stunning roller coaster of Portimao. Many drivers will not have had a great deal of race practice at this particular track, but a lot of people spend a lot of time on time trial, of course, because it's the new toy to play with. I can promise you tonight that we've got a great deal of passion racing in our drivers tonight. And Guide Matthews is already saying Radical is gonna win tonight. Well, that's always my first question. Welcome to the stream, and let me know who you're here to support. What your predictions are for qualifying and so on. Championship positions so far. Given that we reset the Tier 1 drivers' championship points prior to the last round in Italy, Furetto has the lead of the championship by a single point against Instant. We then have Armchair Bike on 60 points in third with Jack. It's a very passionate top four. We have Garbage Man as fifth, Rockin in sixth place, Tommy in seventh, Michiel, Rogue Flash and Cameron Poulter are your top 10 right now. But a lot of the F1 drivers are, a lot of the Tier 1 drivers, are obviously on the hunt to try and move their way back up the championship from where they left themselves following our championship reset and the combination of our drivers' teams. So out on track already, we have, in fact, it's Alex. Alex is out there as the very first driver, and the car looking beautiful in the sunshine in Portugal. I haven't seen a weather forecast just yet, but hopefully I'll be able to give that to you as soon as I hear it, and I'm hoping to hear from our drivers as they finish their sessions, whenever they happen to finish it. But you get an idea for the elevation change as Alex is in the middle sector of the lap at the moment. Welcome one and all to tonight's racing. My name is Webbo, in case this is your first time catching a stream with me, and you can follow me on Twitter for my other race outputs at WebboRed5. And from there you can find links and how to find my channel, Discord, and how to contact me if you need to. But Alex is screaming through the final corner, the banked final corner, reminiscent of Zandvoort, and we'll join him on board as he starts his first flying lap and attempting to put a good banker time into turn one. Just a sixth gear turn, throwing the car through, and then slowly into turn three, second gear corner, bring it up and over the hill right at the point of the crest. Easy to lose the rear of the car if you haven't got your turning done, and we head then down the hill into the Rolex turn 5 hairpin, the lowest point on the circuit, and we have a very similar series of corners now, fast sweeping corners with turning and braking all in one go down to turn 8. And we'll do that again after this kink of turn 9, and we'll do it all over again into turn 10 and 11, which for me is very similar to turn 9 in Bahrain. Just easing off the throttle slightly. Is he going to keep it? He'll keep the lap because when he was off track, he was off throttle at the same time, and hopefully then Alex will be able to put this banker lap in. He's on medium tyres, so it's not going to set the world alight. Over the crest, over the apex at almost exactly the same point. Easy to lose the car on cold tyres, and we go down to the start finish straight, and we get a 1:18.804 as our first representative time. Jack gets an 18.0 on soft tyres. Further back, Geordie gets an 18.4. We've got some other drivers just starting their laps right now. Let's ride with, is it Prime? Has Prime got out there so far? He's not started his lap. It's his teammate Tommy in the Mercedes who's out there. Epicalandru in the Alpine, a 17.3. Furetto has got in the 17 club as well. I wonder if we'll get him anybody in the 16s tonight. Don't know if that's if if you've seen that before from many of our drivers. If you are a close fan or friend of our drivers, perhaps you'll know their top time trial times and can let me know how quickly they can tackle this particular challenge. Tommy has got an AlphaTauri in front of him. Might get a tow. It's Geordie. Geordie, who's already put in a lap, so he gets out of the way in a fairly good position. And Tommy's about to finish this lap out. Meantime, Cameron Poulter's gone 6th. Emino Weber late to the invites today, but he's on the pace already. And just that really frustrating invalidation and the penultimate corner for Tommy, and he'll go into the pits and start again. I think Prime is. I don't think he's on the lap just yet. We'll ride with him because yes, I think he is actually on his lap. So we'll see how quickly Prime can go. He's started this one on the medium tyres though. Prime's gone for a Dayglow yellow and purple helmet tonight. Lots of love for the Passion team tonight. And Prime then for the line at P5. 17.8 on medium tyres is very good, frankly, at this stage. The best medium tyre run of the initial banker laps. Who else is out there right now? Vitod, we haven't seen Vitod. Let's go and have a look at him. He's finishing his lap out with the Williams car on soft tyres. Might get a tow. The driver in front goes into the pits, just gets out of the way. And Vitod up to P14, but a very slow initial lap, so I don't know if it was dramatic or it was a charge lap, just to get a heat cycle through the tyres. We'll wait and see. Armchair Bike, a provisional pole, a 16.5. We do have one member of the 16 club, and Marin has gone a 17.145 with Radical, fan favourite tonight, in P3. Hey to Ryan. Ryan, often featuring on my streams. Good to see you, Ryan. Always good to have a friendly person in the chat. Michelle 4th, Epical Andrew 5th, Furetto is 6th, and Prime now deposed down to 7th with Jack, Emena Weber and Geordie making out the top 10. We'll ride with Vitod if he's still positive on this particular sector. We'll find out now. Obviously he's very positive compared to his previous time, and he might well get himself off the tail of the field with this lap. Little oversteer moment there on the way out of turn 13. Tricky acceleration point. Now we've just got to stay within track limits, not lose the rear, put in the minimum amount of steering as possible, let the banking of the corner take you round, and a P8, a big step up in the final sector for Vitod. Nice time from him. I think Michel is just starting his lap, bounces over the apex. That looked wild and slightly out of control, didn't it? Through turn 1, held on, and he'll be hoping for a calmer trip. We've got a car pointing in the wrong direction. I think that might have been Vitod actually, but Michel, purple first sector, so it was wild, it was on the edge, and it was obviously just within his capability. Now we go uphill into turn 8. The kink of 9, banking, helping the cars round. Then it's really, really difficult braking. He does a fantastic job of getting the car right into the apex, up and over the hill of turn 12. Another hairpin. There's 3 hairpins on this track of differing entry speeds. Turn 14 is very parabolica-like in its shape, at least. And using the curb, a short run to the line then for Michel, and a P2. Almost felt like he backed out just at the last few meters of on his run to the line, but a P2, a 17.0, and so far only Armchair Bike is our 116 driver, so he's got a good cushion out there in front of the rest of the drivers. I think Epical Andrew, yeah, he's just touring at the moment. Okay, Cameron's given him a side swipe. I don't know if there was a problem on track prior to that, but unless Cameron was just getting out of the way of of another car and happened to run into him. But yeah, wasn't the most sporting of gestures we just saw there from him. Passion Jack won't go faster on this lap. He's invalidated, unfortunately. We'll hang out with Tommy though and see if Tommy can go any quicker. We'll watch him through his second sector. That won't help. Very easy to lose the rear on this car and this game in general, you have to say. Jack Rockin's on the way in. Cameron Poulter we know isn't on a fast lap. Maybe Alex is. Maybe I can find a driver who's actually going to keep going in the right direction and be on a fast lap. Brings the car in, nicely collected. Purple middle for Alex, so this is looking pretty strong. Down in 16th place right now, but I think he's on for a much better result out of this one. Might even get a toe off the Haas in front of him. No, Cameron's going to get out of the way, going into the pits. What will Alex get out of this one? Alex, P6. So great representation of the CRL team. I think Jack's on his way in. I think Michel is on his way in as well. So who else have we got finishing out their laps? Marin's on a lap right now, and he's usually a contender for pole. But not this time. This time he goes into the pits. Radicals is in the pits. His teammate is out there right now though, Geordie. Let's see if Geordie can tackle his lap. We've got 7 minutes left of qualifying. Yes, it looks like Cameron, that was a side swipe and a message being delivered to Epical Andrew, as he says in the chat. Thanks for blocking his fast lap. I don't think that's exactly how we deal with our problems in Race Spec. It's not the most constructive way. We don't want to cause damage to another driver or anything. Prime then on his second attempt. He's on soft tyres this time, but he's quite a bit slower. I think he's had a moment there through the first sector, so whether he continues to run this one or decides to come on in. Geordie's just reset to track right in front of Prime. That would have been really distracting. Reset to track is banned in Race Spec. I don't know if it's dealt with more leniently in qualifying than the race. I know it's a very strict no-no in the race, but whether we can allow it in quali or not, it is obviously an instinctive reaction for gamers who race in casual lobbies generally, but it's not useful for league racing at all. So Ryan says his PB is a 117 flat, so Ryan would get himself near the front row or on the front row tonight if he were racing with us and got it done. But PBs in time trial are very different to PBs in the game. In league racing on an evolving track with traffic around and all the pressure of having to do it in maybe 3 runs. If you're lucky, you'll get 3 runs at it. Instant then for the line and medium tyres up to P8, fastest medium lap right now. That's pretty good. Faster than Prime. Is he? No. Prime has actually gone up to P3 on those softs despite an 8/10 lower first 2 sectors. So I don't know if the sector times were reading wrong, because that seems somewhat unlikely. So we've got Instant just waiting out here in the gravel. That's obviously not a great place to be waiting to get going. I think we've got Cameron Poulter then on a lap, hoping to be nowhere near an Alpine on this next lap attempt. Cameron's got an 18.4. I'm sure he feels he's got more than that in the car tonight. And we'll watch with him while we've got 4.5 minutes left of 4.5 minutes left of our qualifying session. We'll just follow Cameron, who's a quarter of a second up on his best time so far. Mr. Jerry says, can I say hello to Mi Piace il Caso? There you go, I've done it. Mr. Jerry says hello. Yeah, good to have Prime watching along, of course. Prime, if you're listening, I haven't had my prime time fix for a very long time. I hope tonight's going to be the night, starting near the front. Cameron Poulter then very positive on this lap. He's got a beautiful open traffic-free run. Couldn't wish for a better run, and with 3 minutes to go, Cameron Poulter puts himself P8 in the Haas, the highest Haas on the grid. And we've got, I think, Armchair Bike is on his outlap. Let's see if we can find him, or Tidal Wave. Well, we'll follow Tidal Wave for a moment. Tidal Wave's been supporting the session. He's hosting the session, doing all the invites, dealing with latecomers and new friend requests and all sorts. Tidal Wave's just about to start his lap, so I'll stay with him for a minute, but I do want to go see Armchair Bike, who might be defending that pole position. Tidal Wave certainly won't be on this run. I don't know if he's got time to get round. I hope so. And out there, all the respect and gratitude for people who have to host sessions or help admin the league. It's a very difficult job and often only ever criticised. Armchair Bike then, let's see his run as he defends pole position. 16.5, his best, clear and away, faster than anybody else tonight, even the likes of Marin, who is usually right up there and fighting for the wins and the poles. Armchair Bike slightly faster, almost a tenth of a second faster than he's been before, so he's not letting off the accelerator for anyone. He's going to throw everything at this. He can afford to take every risk imaginable, so we might see some drama on the lap. Fighting to be top dog in qualifying and in the championship. He's now a quarter of a second up. This one could end up being a very special time indeed. He's got a car ahead, it's Todd, and it might just work out beautifully. Actually, he might just get through turn 15 and catch a small tow. Todd's out and away though. I felt like Armchair Bike was going to lose it, but he goes to the line, and it's a 1:16.268 for Armchair Bike. I can't see anybody beating that tonight. That's incredible. Brilliant, brilliant lap and provisional pole for Armchair Bike. I think Marin is now going to tackle his next attempt at a lap. He's got Prime just behind him on track, I believe. Nicely into turn 3. Using the throttle slightly to turn the car into 4. And you get a good drive down the hill. 1/10 faster at the moment for Marin. Prime is in P3. I think he's the car behind. But we'll stay with Marin because he's moving on up the grid. Yellow flags everywhere on track. Obviously traffic all over the road for our drivers. That probably didn't help Marin. Affects the concentration no end. Purple middle sector for Marin. 5.5 tenths faster than he's been before. He will get himself into the 16 club if he can hold on to this this last sector. He doesn't need any fireworks out of this one. He just needs to hold it, keep it together, and he'll get himself on the front row for a brilliant starting position. Marin then P2, a 1:16.416, left it till the very death of the session. What about Prime? No improvement for Prime. He's going to be P5. I think we've got our front of the grid. Let's see what Fioretto. No, an invalidation from Fioretto. Tommy needs to get this Mercedes higher up the order if he can help it. But we're closing out qualifying. Emino Weber is doing a 3-point turn across the track. But Tommy, I think Tommy is out and done. I don't think he's not going to do a faster lap here tonight. What about Geordie? Another invalidation. We know about Webber. That's not Imeno Webber. It's blimey. So we've got Imeno and we've got Dweber. I have to say Dweber, I guess. But that looks to be the end of our session now. Armchair Bike with a beautiful 1:16.268. We've got several cars have crashed out on their final attempts, but everybody else has taken the checkered flag. I think because of that, those crashes, I think we've got to wait for the drivers to retire from the session. Epical Andrew update on the Epical versus Cameron Poulter issue. Epical Andrew received a phone call that was very important at the time and wasn't really looking at the track. Well, Armchair Bike then, getting that pole position for McLaren from 1.5 tenths away from Marin, who in the Williams gets P2. Then the two Belgians of Instant and Michiel in Aston Martin get 3rd and 4th. Prime Finnish driver in the Mercedes for 5th place. Then Radicals, Epical Andrew, Fioretto, Alex, Cameron Poulter is in 10th. And then starting on free choice of tyres will be Todd, Imeno, Tommy, Jack, Garbage Man, Geordie, Rockin, Dweber, Tidal Wave, and Chester at the back of the grid. Tidal Wave didn't get a time in, and Chester joined us after qualifying. So yeah, tremendous times from the drivers. So I don't know how that compares to world record position, world records, and so on. But quite something on that pole position for both the front row drivers was tremendous. Brilliant stuff. It's looking a little bit overcast. We don't have bright sunshine. I still, unfortunately, don't have a weather forecast from our drivers. Hopefully someone will furnish me with that. That's what we'd like to see. Let me know your predictions for the win tonight, for the first penalty. How many cars will we see bring to the end? And will we see any safety cars? And if so, how many? I have to say that the track is a very difficult track to overtake without DRS if we have wet conditions. But it's also a very, very difficult track, full stop. So it's very easy for our drivers to make a mistake and lose the car. So things can happen very rapidly, and it's very hard to catch every single change that occurs, especially catching every accident. But anyway, Lewis says Tidal Wave for the win. Well, that would be something special, wouldn't it? Definitely be one for the memory banks. Armchair Bike has the pole position, and McLaren start 1st and 19th. Marin in the Williams 2nd, and the other Williams in 11th. Then the two Aston Martins with a tremendous qualifying session, coordinated. They've got Buddy next to them on the grid. Hopefully they won't run into each other. Instant and Michiel. Prime is in 5th with his teammate in 13th. Radical in 6th. His teammate will start 16th. So the teammates really very far spread apart from our Aston Martins. Epical Andrew in the Alpine is 7th. His teammate Garbage Man in 15th. Then we've got Fioretto and Chester, Red Bulls in 8th and 20th. Alex in the Alfa Romeo is in 9th, with his teammate Imeno in 12th. Then continuing the split apart teammates, we've got the Haas team, Cameron Poulter in 10th and Dweber in 18th. So starting everyone on medium tyres, 11th down, with the exception of Garbage Man, Geordie and Tidal Wave. And the car's just coming up to the end of our formation lap time. I'm advised that it's a full dry race, so we should at least get some DRS through the race, which honestly I'm kind of pleased about. And remember that Armchair Bike will have the outside entry into the Hockenheim-like turn 1, taken at about 6th gear, and we'll try to hold on into the hairpin of 3. Marin on the inside on the way down the hill, and often that does favour the second place, and the even-numbered drivers often make the best starts in Portimao. We've got 5 lights on the starting grid, and it's lights out and go, go, go for Race Spec Tuesday Series Europe. Round 7, but Armchair Bike beautifully away. So was Radical, who made a position up immediately and has got the inside line, puts the elbows out. We see one of the Aston Martin spearing across the track. Unfortunately, that's Michiel, who's out already and has retired from the session immediately in our race. So a great qualifying for Aston Martin and a really awful first lap. The car's trying to navigate turn 5 right now. We've got the Ferrari next to a Haas there. That's Jack getting by Dweber, sorry, done it again. And he's now trying to retaliate. The Chester Red Bull from the back of the grid has made it up to 13th, but it quickly deposed back down to 14th as the cars just squabble around that first racing lap. It looks like Chester's got a few connection issues. He's dodging around the track quite a bit. Tidal wavers up a couple of places. Plus the one he gained from Michiel's retirement. And Epiclandru finds himself right at the back of the grid right now, obviously caught up in that first 2-corner fracas. But Armchair Bike is on the start-finish straight, fastest lap immediately. And we've got some disagreements going on a bit further back, with lads being passed by Instant just before the braking zone on slipstream only, and Passion back up to P4. Prime has made it into P3. And is locking up on the way into turn 3 right now. So it looks like Radical keen to make a move back on Instant. Todd with a good start, says Ryan, absolutely. Before we get the benefit of DRS, have a look. Todd and Tommy in great positions here with medium tyres on. So Todd up 4, Rockin up 7, Chester 6. Tommy 5. So some really, really good starts, some really awful starts. Obviously Michiel, but also Epiclandru's gone down 12 positions from the start of the race. But there's plenty of the race left to run. There's 33 laps in total. We've only done 2, and around goes Alex. Very easily done. Loses the rear on one of the crests, and he's now got to navigate the grass, try and get back round, try and get those tyres down to operating temperature, and they were probably too cold at the initial phases. He's treating them very, very gently now, just to get himself back under speed. The last thing you want to do is to end up getting turned around all over again, and DRS is now enabled, and we'll go back to the front of the grid as Tidal Wave is turned around and back down to the bottom of the order. DRS enabled, so they will get it out of turn 4 down the hill to the Rolex hairpin. You'll see why it's the Rolex hairpin if we get the wide angle shot. But Marin can't make headway. The front 2 are gapping Prime at the moment. And here's that wide angle shot I was talking about. Unfortunately, given the size of the tower on the left, you can't actually see the cars coming down the hill. Just kind of frustrating. The Ferraris have found each other on track, Rockin and Jack, very close to each other. But so far, I think this is the closest battle we've got on track. Instant and Prime. Prime's got some connection problems. It looks like. I hope if he's got strain on his Wi-Fi, he needs to turn off the stream and stop watching. Maybe he has already. Michiel says it was the shortest race of his life. I bet it was. Was there contact, Michiel? Was there an issue there? Or did you lose the car on cold tyres? Instant trying to make a move here, but not close enough. Marin is now even closer, down to 4/10. Half a second as they go over the crest of turn 4, and he'll be looking to try and catch that slipstream, but it's a very short straight. Strong braking, but you've got to be right on the tail of the car in front to make a move into there. or have a mistake through turn 4, which is easily done, of course. Looks like pit stop for Geordie, and that's triggering a number of drivers to drop down. Epic Landry's put on hard tyres already. Emmanuel Weber has gone and put on softs. So they won't last very long. Appreciate Lewis Tiger's comment. Thank you very much for the compliment. Always nice to have someone grateful for the work that you do. Garbage Man upper place into P12 from Cameron Poulter. Beautiful stuff. So at the moment 6/10 Marin's gap to Armchair Bike. 6/7 the gap between Prime and Instant. DRS is open for those two pairs of cars, but Prime unable to catch Marin. He'll be looking in his mirrors a fair amount at the moment, and the driver's just settling into a rhythm and trying to preserve those soft tyres, particularly those drivers at the front. VTOD looking good from P6 with Tommy behind P7. Tommy has had a great start as well. He and Prime were a long way away from each other's. So yeah, hopefully they will bring in a good result for the Mercedes team tonight. I'm afraid I didn't read out the constructors' standings right now, but it is only round 7, so it's early days in the championship. Have we got any tight battles? Nobody particularly close to one another at the moment. Just these two battles at the front of our race. Passion Instant is I've done it already. I've read the word passion and I shouldn't. Instant is closer to Prime than Marin is to Armchair Bike. Penalty though for Prime. So early days, penalties to be picking up. Prime, Radical, Rockin and Alex. I didn't unfortunately pick up who was the first of our penalties. Looks like they're coming to lap Tidal Wave already. That's a bit of a cone of shame moment, isn't it, for Tidal Wave to be lapped on lap 6, but obviously has had a pit stop, made a change. Marin, will he take a late dive bomb? No, not quite. Too sensible for that. It looks like we just had a transponder issue for Radicals. Heart failure for any Radical fans as he suddenly appeared at the bottom of the grid and everyone gained, but no, he's okay. We can relax, breathe easy. Let's go and have a look at our Ferrari pair, who are locked together in battle at the moment, presumably slowing each other down a little bit rather than pulling each other along towards the next cars in front. Hopefully they can play nice together. They should do. They're on the same team. They should have the tactics. I wonder if any of our Passion drivers have got a team engineer tonight running the race for them. Always like to see that kind of thing going down, especially if they're part of the stream as well. That always makes for added level of depth. I'd absolutely love it if we could have public radio in those team chats. I think that'd be cool. So a third of a second now separating the front two and the third and fourth place drivers. No passes just yet though, as they head back down to turn 5. Marin is very close and under braking. You feel he's got a good car if he wanted to make an overtake. He's got good grip on those fronts and getting the car stopped quite nicely. Marin and Armchair Bike, I think in the earlier stages when it was a tier 1 situation, these guys ran away with the races and just raced each other. And they were teammates back then in the Alpine. But since we reset since we combined the tiers, they haven't stopped racing each other quite so hard. And now they're in other teams, so they'll be away. How can we stop Armchair? I don't know how we stop Armchair. I really don't. But Marin is probably the best placed driver to do that. I wonder how much performance Prime is holding back on. How much ERS he's saving. Will Marin make this moment his attempt? No. Down to a tenth of a second was the gap just as they get the cars into turn 1. They're going through 3 right now, so he needs a good run through 4 or a mistake from Armchair Bike ahead. Armchair Bike just keeping him at arm's length distance, if you'll forgive the pun. Instant getting the car stopped, but is drifting slowly away from the back of Prime, who has a 3-second penalty. Let's not forget, Jack gets a penalty, and we've got penalties all the way down the field at the moment. Just the front 2, Instant, Todd, Chester Garbage Man in the top 12 without penalties. We'll be heading towards a pit stop soon enough for our drivers. I think 11 or 12 laps is about the maximum on softs. Maybe 14 if we had a long caution, but at full racing speed I'm expecting around lap 12 to see the first cars coming in. Your order then on lap 8 of 33 is Armchair Bike from Marin, Prime and Passion. I've done it again. Prime and Instant with Radical, Todd, Fioretto, Tommy just dropping down behind Fioretto, Tommy, and Rockin. I think there's been a mistake potentially from Tommy there. Yeah, he's dropping down the field drastically. It doesn't say he's in the pits. Alex has retired from the session suddenly, so a problem for Alex. Alex is out. We've got yellow flags. How drastic a situation are we going to have ourselves? Is he stopped on track? I think he is. Keep your eyes peeled on the left. Will we see the car? There it is, stopped just on the exit curb. So thankfully it looks like the marshals are going to get that one cleared away for us. They're coming up to lap Dweeber right now. So Dweeber and Tidal Wave both had a lap put on them from the front 2. Rockin we lose. What happened to Rockin? Where is he? There's another stopped Italian car. So I'll just go and have a ride with Emino Weber and see if we can see Tommy's car. Sorry, see Rockin's car. Eyes right after this corner. Loses the car on the crest. It's very, very tricky. It looks like our marshals have got that one clear as well. So we're living without the safety car so far, which is obviously a relief for anyone who's been watching F1 2021 races in the last couple of months. Lap 10 now. You could see that the softs on, was it Emmanuel Weber's car that we were riding with? You can see the softs are going off for him as he tries to turn and climb hills at the same time. The AlphaTauri getting off the road there. Presumably that was Geordie just dropping a lap down. Definitely a race of 2 groups tonight. Not necessarily along Tier 1 and Tier 2 lines either. But Armchair Bike out there in front, 7/10 of a second gap now. I think we'll perhaps go and watch another battle if there's a smaller one out there. There is down in 12th and 13th. Cameron launching one up the inside. That's speculative on Emeno Weber, but doesn't quite get by. Emeno had a good traction zone on the way out of the corner and holds on for now, at least. We've lost Rockin from the session overall. So on lap 11, we still have 17 of our 20 runners circulating. Tommy is up to P8, just getting by Jack. But I was just going to stay with these cars for a few minutes, see if we might see another move. They're certainly close enough to use DRS down the start-finish straight. I wonder if any drivers are thinking about an undercut at this stage. Somebody like Marin might try and pit before the leader. Oh, a move there from Emeno Weber. Half a weave, half a dummy to the pits. But using DRS and the brakes Cameron Poulter, not at the same time obviously, but using both weapons to get by, and up to P12 now is Cameron in the Haas. Nice move from him, good to see. Furious racing up and down the grid, no less competitive just because they're fighting for lower order points. They absolutely want it. Instant has gone in the pits, who was potentially losing a little bit of time behind Prime. Instant pitting right now. Presumably that's going to be medium tyres going on. It is. No, he's gone for hards, in fact. Wow, okay, so hard tyres for Instant. That's going to really cut into his ability to action and undercut here. But we'll go back to the front because things are looking pretty close. And I really think that Marin might be well placed here to go for an undercut. Pit now regardless of what Armchair Bike does, because you're not going to get much of an overcut around here with 11 lap old softs. Other drivers who might consider it would be later in the race at least, somebody with a gap like Chester, like Jack. Emmanuel Weber could do it obviously very soon. His tyres will be going off fairly shortly. So we're coming out to finish lap 12, and what will our leaders do for pit stops? Marin is going for that undercut. Beautiful. So I'm fully expecting him to action this one. I really do think he will gain big time, but it depends how much ERS and tyre life Armchair Bike has saved for just this eventuality. He should really be spending ERS as fast as possible right now, at least down to about 25-26%. He can afford to push at this point. He's not using it super aggressively. He's got a lot of confidence. I don't know if he feels like he's got more laps in the car or a lot more pace than he was showing before. Prime is in the pits. He's gone onto hards. Instant, Furetto, Garbage Man, all on hard tyres. So they've definitely all gone for these hard tyres. I was kind of expecting mediums, but maybe they just won't last quite there. I think about 20 laps is the norm that I've seen on mediums, but quite often that is on with safety cars. So I could definitely see a 20-lap run work, and I wonder if Armchair Bike would consider that. Now he'll know that Marin is on hards. He might consider going on a faster tyre, because he'll need some sort of weapon. He'll need some sort of weapon here towards the end of the race. He comes in right now, so we're going to see where he comes out relative to Marin. What kind of pace is Marin up to? What can he do? He's currently got the fastest lap. I'm not sure if that was this most recent lap of his. But hard tyres for Armchair Bike as well. So he's going to try and defend from Marin. Got a car stopped on the inside lane just before the pit lane here. And it's a VSC. That's absolutely going to feed into Armchair Bike's hands. The VSC is going to slow down Marin, completely do away with his undercut potential, and he's going to be screaming into the helmet as the gap will actually extend owing to that. What a stroke of luck for Armchair Bike. Absolutely so fortunate to have that turn round for him. He turned a sort of 3/10 deficit to a 2-second deficit just by virtue of having a VSC. Must have been one of the Haas cars. They both retired very recently. It looked like a white car, didn't it, in the pit lane entry area. But that's what happened, and now Marin has got to try and fight back and regain that ground that he's now lost under the VSC just through ill fortune and another driver retiring at the same time. Radical on new hards has got Instant ahead of him, also on new hards. So a fairly fair fight going on. Epic Landry's currently on those hard tyres that I don't know if he's going to try and do a one-stop. Armchair Bike has got a penalty as well. Obviously pushed very hard on his in-lap. His outlap wouldn't have to have been pushing hard, so that's handing an advantage back to Marin, and this shape of the race at the lead changes once again for the drivers. Incredible stuff. Instant just ahead of Radicals here, needs to close in on Prime because Prime's getting away. with it. Radical gets by. He's got a penalty though, so Instant might just figure it might be good enough just to stay with him. In fact, he's got 2 penalties, so a 6-second gap Lads needs to pull on to keep any position tonight. Instant trying to retaliate, launches one up the inside into the Rolex hairpin, but a beautiful executed switchback from Radical, and he's back into P5. Vitard has got the lead right now. Tremendous stuff from Vitard. He hasn't stopped yet, but in terms of track position, in terms of positions gained, he's had 10 so far. Chester up 12 as well, despite his connection issue that he's got going on. A question about the track map. I can certainly use the track map from time to time, and I use it when I've got a car stranded or something, but I find it clutters up the screen quite a lot. But I'm fine to put it on for a few minutes. We're actually watching Radical right now, so no complaints surely that we're watching him with Instant back with DRS. A small weave, little discouraging move from Radical just there. He gets another penalty, guys. That's down to 9 seconds now on Radical's car for the penalties. So he's pushing incredibly hard to keep Instant behind him, but too hard. Takes to the outside, does Instant. He's going to try and reverse the move that was just done on him, but he doesn't quite get there. He's going to try something a little unconventional, I think, and it might be getting a little bit too close for comfort. Up at the front, we might see the lead change now as Armchair Bike gets up the inside of Todd, who is making life very difficult for him, and he has every right to do this, especially as his Armchair Bike's main rival tonight is his teammate. He can't deal with the extra grip around the outside of turn 14, but he definitely held him up there, and I would expect Todd to get out of the way of Marin now and help him regain that ground. Marin is currently about 1.7 seconds back from the lead of the race. Armchair Bike with a 3-second penalty, so Marin still comfortably well within the margin of error. If again you'll forgive that pun. But yes, there we go. We saw the move at the time. Radical still fighting with passion with Instant here. 6/10 now, that gap. Prime with 3 seconds of penalty. Instant could potentially try and catch him if he can stop this fight with Radical. Radical taking the inside, wary of a dive bomb from Passion again. Marin breezes on by Todd there. Todd obviously didn't make that one very difficult at all, and that's all proper and correct, exactly what you'd expect between teammates. Radical still got the closest car to another on the grid. We've got 15 runners, and it's lap 17, just ticking over the halfway point in our race. Armchair Bike leads on the road, but is actually in second place by about 0.8 of a second. Vitard is yet to pit. Prime has pitted, is on hard tyres to the end. Vitard could well do this as a medium soft run and be in a good position, and he'll certainly dive in if he sees any form of caution. Behind Prime is Radical and Instant, and they're going at it once again. Radical gives him the outside only. Instant just about holds on to the track limits and gets by around the outside of turn 1. A very neatly done move, but some cooperation from Radical, who knew that that particular battle was lost, but he's still trying to win the war. Another late move to the inside. I don't think Instant thought that one was very likely, because there was no defense. He was sufficiently far ahead, and he now needs to try and catch Prime, because in this battling they've lost out some seconds. Oh, oversteer from the Aston Martin up the hill, and how many times have we seen that tonight from different drivers? More penalties racking up as we continue with this fantastic circuit. It really is an epic challenge for the drivers. I think in some ways, especially because of the number of laps that they've been able to complete so far, it is a more difficult challenge than Spa. Is that a controversial opinion? Let me know what you think in the chat. Make sure, while we haven't got any specific overtaking going on track, make sure you've liked the video tonight, please. Aiming to break our records for likes on the video, if at all possible. Here comes Radical, back down the inside on DRS. Instant fighting back on the inside into the first hairpin, turn 3. Drives him round, but loses momentum on oversteer. There's no way around there, but lads, Radical out. Fighting, I don't think they touched. It's just a very difficult corner in turn 4. And here's the safety car that could absolutely open up Todd's strategy. I think he could go through and do a soft tyre run now, because he'll be under the safety car for a couple of laps. But Radical triggers our first safety car on lap 19, and the battle with Instant was very clean up until that point, and I don't think they touched. I think they were just both on strange parts of the track going through turn 4. Instant lost it slightly, went wide. Unfortunately, Radical lost it on the inside, and the wall is very close on the inside of the exit of turn 4. Very unfortunate to see Radical out, especially after such a battle. Armchair Bike and Marin come in. This might be the trigger point for everybody to go on softs, in fact. We'll see. I know that they did, 12 laps earlier on the soft tyres. Yeah, Armchair Bike goes onto softs. What does Marin do? I think he'll do the same thing, and this will be everybody in the pits. So Vitard could well end up running 3rd after all he's gone through in the race, and a poor starting position. Could well be in 3rd place here. I think everyone is now going to come in and put on soft tyres. Prime, controversially, has gone for fresh mediums, wanting to push, I think, but he'll struggle in the first couple of laps relative to the other cars. He's got a penalty to pay as well, and of course the safety car plays merry hell with cars who've got penalties. The Red Bulls are pitting together, but have ended up with Chester having to double stack. Potentially loses his position there to Jack, another Passion teammate. So we did start the game with 4 Passion cars. We now have 4 Passion cars, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, which is pretty cool. Tommy's in. Garbage Man, I'm sure, will come in, and of course this will help the drivers who are a long way back in the order. Tidal Wave is currently over a lap down, but we'll be able to catch a lot of that back and still potentially get some points tonight. We could see some more casualties from our from the safety car period. In the stewards briefing of the race tonight, we were warned, the drivers were warned explicitly not to do silly things under the safety car, to respect the gaps. It's far more likely that you crash than you gain a place after a safety car. Much better to get the first restart lap underway cleanly. Unfortunately, penalties coming in for Jack for Tidal Wave again. We'll have another look at penalties now. Armchair Bike needs to be careful because he'll get a penalty for overtaking the safety car. But 6 seconds for Prime. Oh, that's really going to hurt right now, as all the cars are going to come up behind the safety car of this next lap. 3 for Armchair Bike, Furetto, Chester, Jack, and then 12 for Epical Andrew. 9 seconds apiece down there for Tommy, Geordie and Tidal Wave. But looking very good right now are the cars of Garbage Man in the Alpine, the solo Aston Martin of Instant, Todd, who has made up all those places, as I was saying before, and Marin, who have not got penalties. 8 places up for Todd, but I've been ignoring a little bit Chester, who's gone up 13. So strong candidate for driver of the day. It's quite something if Todd can get up on the podium with his teammate and have a double podium for the Williams team. But I don't know if the cars are sufficiently close together to trigger the safety car to come in on this lap. Hopefully they will, but otherwise it's going to be a 8 or 9 sprint to the finish in our race. So stay with us, because anything could happen. We've seen plenty of people losing the car on their own. We've seen plenty of penalties that are going to affect the end race order, and drivers are going to have to drive cognizant of their penalty situation, trying to put gaps on other drivers. It's going to be very difficult. If we go back to have a look at the tyre situation, I'll get things right in a minute. Fastest lap currently with Armchair Bike. Tyres, we have softs and mediums all fresh. So Prime will be stronger at the end of this session than he will be at the start. Same with Fioretto, Andrew, Garbage Man and Tidal Wave. The lights are still on this safety car, so I think we're going round again because the tail still hasn't caught up the back of the queue. So there's plenty of time now to make sure you go and like the video, that you've subscribed to the Race Spec Esports channel. Do you know there's a driver in our chat today who asked where the stream would be, and hasn't obviously subscribed to the Race Spec channel. So make sure that you don't fall victim to that same fail. And remember, if you like my commentary, you can find me on Twitter at WebORed5, where I will always post when I'm running a stream. So, Armchair Bike from Marin with a penalty to pay and gap Marin, which is no mean feat whatsoever. Todd in third from way down in 11th, I think he started. Then Prime with a 6-second penalty for Prime. Instant, Fioretto, Chester, Jack, Andrew, Garbage Man, Tommy, Geordie and Tidal Wave are your 13 remaining runners here at Portimao on our 7th round of the Tuesday Euro Series racing. Can Armchair Bike win this? Can Prime get on the podium? How far up the order can Garbage Man get with driving clean? And how many drivers will we have ending this session without a penalty? Those are the big questions tonight. Can anybody hold on to aging tyres? They'll need to do 11 laps on the softs. We're definitely going to get racing again, and fingers crossed for an 11-lap sprint racing of uninterrupted race action here in the Portuguese track. Armchair Bike now becomes the de facto safety car. He will have a choice when to press the loud pedal, and we'll ride with Todd. We'll get a good idea. Geordie's kind of going to be in the way here. I don't know if Geordie will decide to blend out of the throttle and let the race contenders get on with it, or he will just try and stay with them for the best possible result. Armchair Bike leaving it late. Does he go? He goes now. Marin's pretty close. I think Todd is vulnerable to Prime. I think Prime has actually got by, has had to let him back past, and that's going to leave the door open for the Aston Martin behind both of them. Looks like Instant's getting by Prime immediately just because of that miscalculation, and he had to blend out of the throttle, but Prime continues to fight. He will have the inside line if he can just keep the underlap, but he doesn't. So Instant up to P4, hassling in the back of Todd. Prime with those medium tyres and that stepping out of the throttle because he got by illegally before the control line. Passion Instant going up the inside of turn 5, side by side through 6, and gets the job done up to P3. Beautiful restart from Instant there. What a move. It looks like you've got Prime trying to get the outside of Todd. Todd unable to hold off Prime, who's got those tyres back up to temperature already, and it's all going on as Armchair Bike gets almost a second on Marin already, and he needs a few more of those to hold on to the win tonight. He'll be ragging those soft tyres on these early laps while he can, but it's all about getting the fastest 11 laps out of your soft tyres, and that's not necessarily equal to getting the fastest first lap. So Prime then has a slipstream opportunity, doesn't get DRS, he's back on the attack. Prime well up for this one tonight, not ready to lie down. They touch going into turn 1. You feel like Instant perhaps didn't leave enough racing room that time, and Prime's got the inside through 3. That would become the outside of 4, but he'll get a good run if he can hold on to the car, and we'll be going down to the Rolex hairpin. Not quite enough with Prime He's now 4/10 back from Instant. Make that 2. As he just there won't be an easy way past through this section of the track unless there's a mistake from the car in front. But of course, the chance of a mistake from the car in front is ultimately a lot to do with how much pressure you're putting on them, how much you're leaning on them, making them look in their mirrors and miss the braking markers. It's another factor that I think makes this track trickier than Spa, is how few braking marker boards there are, because you're so often pointing at the sky from the cockpit that you can't see track markings or reference points. It's all driven on memory. Armchair Bike, fastest lap, 1:17.8. Prime with a good slipstream. Doesn't yet have DRS. It hasn't been enabled. It's only just been enabled now, but he can't quite get it done. And I think if he stays that close through the next lap, I think he will get the move done. He's got good speed on the mediums. Obviously prefers the mediums to the soft because he chose them when he had the opportunity to go the other way. I've asked our drivers to give us session debriefs, and I've hardly had any of them, unfortunately. I can't bring you news from the paddock. The Red Bulls are close together, Fioretto and Chester, though I think there's quite a difference in penalties there. We'll just have to remember that Fioretto and Prime are on the mediums, as I think it's going to be more important to look at the penalty gaps. Armchair Bike has almost done half the job he needs to do to get away from Marin sufficiently to defend the win. We've lost Tommy, who has discoed, I think, because his AI is still running, so he's going to be dropping down. The AI is not anywhere near as quick as our drivers, and Instant and Prime get by. I think that was Geordie who very compliantly let them go. Geordie's lost a lap just in this restart, but Prime easily by with DRS down the start finish straight. Had a great drive out of the final corner. Chester up past Fioretto, but he will drop back behind him if he can't get more than 6 seconds ahead, and that's unlikely with just what have we got, 7 laps to go now in our race. Prime up to P3, but needs to gap the field as much as possible because he's going to have a real job on his hands to defend this podium. Needs to get 3 seconds over Instant and 6 over Todd. Todd's quite happy at the moment, I think, just riding around, staying in the wheel track, staying in the DRS of Instant, who is obviously going to be pushing very hard to try and get back past Prime. 1.3 seconds is your gap at the front. It needs to be 3 for Armchair Bike to hold on to the win. Marin can drive within himself and stay within that gap. Doesn't need to push too hard on these tyres, and obviously you never know what will befall the drivers towards the end of the race. Always good to have strong tyres for the very last couple of laps, because when other drivers have been pushing super hard, their tyres will drop off a lot quicker and potentially drop off the cliff with 2 or 1 lap to go. Prime can't get away from Instant though, so he'd be okay if he stays there for another sort of 3 laps, because then he can start to extend that gap when the soft tyres have properly gone off on Instant's car behind. But Instant still well within that. Oh, big change at the front with Marin getting a penalty. That opens things up. Armchair Bike now only has to stay ahead on track, and that is huge news. So late in the day for Marin to get a penalty, but Armchair Bike now on equal terms with Marin and 1.6 seconds ahead, and that is everything. Shows you just how hard Marin was pushing. He gets another one. Incredible. Marin from 0 penalties to 2 in the space of about 4 corners. Must have gone off track significantly to get so many warnings in succession, but huge deal for this race. That actually opens things up potentially for Todd and Instant to catch even more. So the pressure is now even more on Instant, who, if he can get by Prime, could get himself up a P2 here, or even a P1. He's got the pace. He just needs to stay with them. Prime doesn't want to make this one easy. He's got the inside line this time. when they went through here before they touched, and Instant has to give a little bit more room, wary of Prime's sharp elbows on the Mercedes. Away they go. Another penalty for Tidal Wave, now up to 12 each for Geordie, Tidal Wave, Tommy and Epical Andrew. But look at how our race has changed with 5 laps to go. It's now Marin on 6 seconds of penalties with Prime, and Passion now, Passion Instant now well within a shout, as is Todd. Todd could move up a couple of places here, get himself on the podium if he can stay with these two. Did Todd fit mediums or is he on softs? He's on softs, so okay, his tyres will be past their best, but Prime will be in a great position on his tyres now, able to start to push a little bit harder than the car behind him. And while it's unlikely he can move up a place, he can try and defend how few places he loses. Great race we've had on our hands. I often see a Portimao race with very few passes, but this one has been very good indeed. The drivers driving respectfully. We've had very little contact for a league race anyway, and drama has come usually from cars losing it on this very, very tricky track. Huge respect to the drivers for keeping it together like this, driving Portimao on aging tyres while trying to battle. It's an absolute handful, but big respect for these amazing drivers who do this so well. Lap 29, Armchair Bike has the lead from Marin, then Prime and Passion locked together in battle still. Todd paying a watching brief, but might be drifting away from the podium if he can't stay within DRS. Chester is in 6th place. Oh, is that Todd? Todd round. Todd's gone off the track. A reset to track for Todd as well, just to make matters worse. I'm sorry, Todd, to join you and find you doing a reset to track, but that is a podium gone, and he's going to struggle to hold on to the car now. Does he come into the pits? No, he's going to stay out, try and rescue what he can out of this one. He could still get a P8, but disaster for Todd with 3 laps to go, and a reset to track could well pick up a problem from the stewards. I don't know if anyone will report him. Unlikely to report himself, and the stewards might not be watching the whole stream, so fingers crossed for Todd. Nobody decides to report his reset to track there. This is not a procession to the end. This one is is giving us everything we could possibly ask. Todd, the only driver now without a penalty, is Instant, has 3 seconds, Prime with 6. That's where these are really going to matter. The rest of the drivers with various penalties down the grid will not lose drastically. Epical Andrew will drop down quite a few places. Todd will gain that one, so could still get a point, could get a few points out of this. But Jack gets a penalty again. The tyres are absolutely dying on our drivers here, really struggling to do it, to do the end of this race on these old softs. Imeno Weber says he hates Portimao. Tommy says this track has the stupidest corner cut penalties. Do you agree? Those of you watching, is this a stupid track? Do we hate it? Do we love watching racing around it all the same? I have to say. I don't like tracks with lots of penalties because it does make the commentary job a little bit more difficult, but it's good that drivers are having to work very hard. And it has made for a very entertaining race tonight. I hope you've been enjoying it. Make sure that that you watch it again if you haven't been enjoying it. Share it on Twitter or socials if you've enjoyed this one. I know I have. Definitely a contender for me for my race of the week, which I will declare on Wednesday or Thursday each week. Fioretto gets by Chester, looks like. Todd getting by as well. So I think Chester's had a moment and is struggling to recover the car. So the job made a little bit easier here for Todd. He's going to get that sixth place with Epicalandri's demotion. We're down to the penultimate laps, and again another penalty for Marin, and it's still not quite close enough is Prime, but he's now gapping Instant because of the difference in the tyres. If Marin catches another penalty, or if Prime can pick up a lot of pace here, he could potentially get another place, but he needs to get a 3-second gap to Instant to keep his podium, and that will be a quali lap for him to make that happen. Thanks to Francois, I appreciate that. So if you do like the commentary, you can catch me at WebberRed5 on Twitter and see my other races. I'm doing about 6 a week at the moment, so it's pretty full on. Prime P3, 1.6 seconds now the gap. I don't think he's going to hold on unless Instant has a big issue with the tyres. It is growing that gap. But it's Armchair Bike who crosses the line to start his final lap of the race. And Prime is just trying to extend that gap. Marin is in second place. Sufficiently far back now. 2 seconds is the gap Prime has on Instant. So he's got to get a second in this lap. Either he gains a second or Instant loses a second. Epicalandri will drop down. In fact, he'll drop down right this second because Fioretto gets by. Epicalandri is around, and race ruined for him. Won't get much out of this one at all with 12 seconds of penalties. Garbage Man catching fast his teammate. They will finish together on the road, but a long way apart after penalties are applied. 2.1 seconds Prime's gap. I don't think he's going to hold on to this podium. Anything can happen. We keep seeing drivers falling off the racetrack right up to the end of this race. It's been an absolute epic one, and not just because Epicalandri is racing. Armchair Bike coming through the final corner. Armchair Bike will win in Portimao for a brilliant victory, holding on to the end. Marin getting second place. Prime 2.3 seconds. That gap is, he's going to lose this one, I think, by a tiny amount, 0.4. Passion Instant for the Passion team gets, and Aston Martin gets that third place, and Prime demoted to fourth. So unfortunately no Prime time for me tonight, but it was a very strong showing. Fioretto in fifth place. Todd gets sixth after those penalties applied, and the drivers just not wanting to finish the race, frankly. Garbage Man gets his teammate at the end, seventh, and Epicalandri in eighth. Then Tommy will cross the line in ninth, but will get demoted. We'll see who got the fastest lap as well. I've got a feeling it was Armchair Bike. Yeah, by 0.2, Armchair Bike got that fastest lap. Tommy crosses the line there in ninth, but Chester will get him. I don't think Jack will. So Chester ninth, Tommy 10th. Those are your points paying positions. Jack will come over the line through the final corner now into P11. Geordie in P12 potentially, who's already been lapped and tied away. Brings up the rear in 13th. That was quite the race, guys. I really enjoyed that one. Chester gets the driver of the day. We'll take you through the finishing order. If you've got any questions, please go ahead. Prime, very sporting as always, says that Instant deserved that for the battles. Armchair Bike there. The baby-faced avatar character, Armchair Bike, picking up the trophy in Portimao. We have a Dutch 1-2 with Marin in second place, and Instant for the Passion team for Aston Martin, getting some points for the team. Third place in the race. So fantastic stuff. Prime's pleased. It's his first league race in Portimao. I think it's going to be a lot of people's first race. It's a difficult challenge. So congratulations to everybody that finished the race. Armchair Bike from Marin, and Instant your podium. Prime for Finland, and a Mercedes in 4th. We have Furetto for Singapore in 5th place. Todd and Garbage Man, Epical Andrew, Chester and Tommy gets the final point. Fastest lap goes to Armchair Bike. Then we had Jack, Geordie and Tideway finish the race, and not finishing Radical, Imeno Weber, Cameron, Dweeba, Rockin, Alex and Michelle unfortunately was out in the first lap. So any other reviews, any other debriefs, I will let you know if they show up in the next few seconds. Thank you to everybody who has watched the race tonight. Thank you to the guys who run Race Spec, who help with the management of the league, who do the standings. Thankless tasks usually. And I don't think there'll be too much for the stewards to do at the end of this one. If you can and you're watching the video, make sure you've liked it before you disappear on us, and make sure that you express your gratitude if you're one of the drivers watching this back, and you make sure that that the admins know that they are appreciated. Well, thanks everyone. I don't think anything else is going to come out of the Discord. Hey to Yakiv, haven't said hello to everybody. There's been a lot of people contributing, thankfully, on the chat, and just know that we really appreciate that. We appreciate all the usual things: subscribes on the channel, follows on Twitter, and likes on the video. But really appreciate everybody today. Thanks very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this race around Portimao, race 7 of the championship, race 8, same time next week. And until then, I will catch you on the next race day.